Shalom, shalom, everyone. This is Yaina Yisrael with another Sabbath Day class. We say welcome to you all that are in the listening audience. We thank you for joining us this afternoon. We look forward to the lesson that we're about to do. We hope that you all have enjoyed our previous lessons that we have on YouTube. We will be uploading this one sometime this weekend, and we say thank you all for being here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I think, Sister Sanaya, you were saying something?
Oh, we can wait till we're finished.
Okay, great. All right, so what we're going to do is we have a PowerPoint presentation, and I am going to put it on full screen so you will be able to see it. This is a spinoff from last week, and I'm going to open up my screen as soon as we get to the next one. All right, here we go. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yeah.
Great. All right, this is the dietary law. Last week we went over the importance of the Sabbath day. You know, I hope everyone got something out of that and how that's important and how we have to keep the Sabbath and what it means and all of that kind of stuff. But I wanted to move on to the dietary law. This is very, very important because this is an issue that comes up quite a bit. And the reason why this is an issue is because there are a lot of Israelites that are vegetarians. Some of them are vegans, vegetarians. They don't eat meat. They don't eat fish. They don't eat anything but plant-based food. And that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to, and I hope everyone has a pen and a piece of paper, because these scriptures that I give you today are going to be very important. This is just the introductory part of the dietary law, because I want to establish some things before we actually go into the do's and the don'ts. It's very important for you to be able to take people through the whole scripture and be able to explain different things, because these are the questions that are going to come up as you began to explain to Israel what they can and cannot eat. Because there's a lot of people that believe that we were never supposed to eat meat. There are people who think that we were supposed to be vegetarians and vegans. So I just want to be able to establish. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, you know, and it's to each person's own desire of what they want to do. There are just laws given to us of certain things that we can and cannot consume as being Israel. So I want to make sure that we cover this. Now, this may not be a long one. It'll give us a lot of time to talk, but I don't want to go into the actual dietary law that was given to Israel until we establish these principles first. So if you don't have a pen and paper, please take the time to get one, because we're going to win our families and be able to answer questions for our families as we know the scriptures. Okay, because a lot of our families are Christians, they're pastors, they're deacons, they're Bible teachers, you know, and we have to be able to go into the scripture and explain to them the importance of it, because you can go in the New Testament and there's a scripture that says as long as you bless it, you can eat anything. Yeah. You know, and there was a different set of rules that was given to the Gentiles. So we have to break this down so that we make this known and understood. Anybody have anything they want to say before we get started? All right, here we go, the dietary law. Okay, the original diet. Now, this is what most people go to for the original diet. We're in Genesis chapter 1, verses 29 through 31. And the Most High said, verse 29, and the Most High said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth. And every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. So the Most High has established that you can have every herb, every tree, you know, all of that is supposed to be meat for you that you may eat. And meat, the vegetables and the fruits and all of those things for consumption.
Sister Yanina, I'm so sorry. Can you give me that scripture again?
Genesis chapter 1, verses 29 through 31.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, verse 30. It says, herbs for the beast. It says, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every herb for meat, and it was so. So not only for man, but for the beasts, for the birds, everybody was eating herbs.
Mm.
Okay, everybody was. We was eating fruits and vegetables and all that stuff. Okay, watch. And the Most High saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. This was the sixth day. Anybody have a comment?
I do, Sister Yaina.
Yes, ma'am.
It says every green. So, is that significant, or is that just so that we understand that, they're the trees and the...
Yes, it's just anything that was growing that had a seed in it that grew out of the ground, you could eat it.
Okay.
When it came
to
vegetables and fruit.
This is Malcolm. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm wondering, after the fall, did something happen with that?
I'm going there. I'm on my way.
Oh, okay.
I promise you I'm on my way.
Okay. Never mind then. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, my question.
He said, and the evening and the morning were the sixth day. All right, now we're going into Genesis chapter 2, which we're going to introduce death, because there was no death until this happened. We're going Genesis chapter 2, verses 15 through 25. 15 through 25. Now, this is very significant because a lot of people don't realize that Adam was not made in the Garden of Eden. The Most High did not make him there. And this sets that precedence here with Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. Genesis chapter 2, verses 15 through 25. Verses 15, it says, and the Most High Elohim took man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So after he made him, wherever it was that he made him, we know he was made from the dust of the ground, but he was not made in the Garden of Eden. He brought him to the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Verse 16. And the Most High Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayst freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Now I have a question. Well, never mind. I'm going to wait. Let me go back. Verse 18. And the Most High Elohim said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And out of the ground the Most High formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air. So even the animals are made of the dust of the ground. Everything. Everything is made from the dust of the ground. Watch. And brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So Adam was so intelligent, he named everything. Every little beetle, every little bug, every little crawling creature, every little bit, everything from the largest to the smallest, he named them. So this had to be something supernatural. Watch. And Adam gave names to all cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field, but for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. As verse 21. And the Most High caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. So what he did was he took something from Adam to be able to form Eve. So they were technically of the same DNA. Watch what happens. And the rib which the Most High had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. So they were basically the same individual looking at each other in a male and a female version. They had the same DNA. Any questions? Because a lot of times people think because he made Eve that she was a component from him, you know, and they were different from him. No, they were identical in terms of DNA. She was a man with a womb man with female features. But he was basically looking at a female version of himself. All right, let's go. I'm surprised you guys don't have no questions.
Well, I do, but I'll wait till you finish. It's back in chapter 1.
Okay, hold on. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Almost done. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. All right, Sister Sanaya, what is your question?
Okay. Now, in chapter 1, it said that we were giving all the fruits and vegetables and, you know, greens or whatever to eat for meat. And does that mean for nutrition? And also, is that all that was eaten at the time?
Well, there's nothing to say that they ate anything other than vegetation in the beginning. Yes, it was for nutrition. But I promise you that what they were eating, it has no comparison to what we're eating now.
What we're eating now is garbage.
Right. Exactly. You know, exactly. Every nutritional value in what they were eating was probably heightened at the nth degree. So they had everything they needed.
That's true. Our food now has no nutritional value at all.
Very little. Very, very little. Very little. I heard somebody else want to say something. Somebody else?
Yes.
I was saying that everything was very high potent and was natural. It was right from the earth.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Especially in that garden, it was, definitely.
You know, they didn't add all those chemicals and hormones and all that stuff they put in the food today, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was natural on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, here we go now. All right, now, Genesis chapter 3. Why are we going through Genesis? Because we have to establish something. Genesis chapter 3, we're going through verses 6 through 11, and then 21 through 24. Genesis chapter 3, we're going through 6 to 11, and then 21 through 24. All right, Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. It says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eye, a tree to be desired to make one wise. Now, let me back up for you all who don't know this story. The Most High gave them a commandment and said, you may eat freely of all the trees in the garden, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. He said, for the day that thou shalt eat of it, thou shalt surely die. So she saw this tree, and this tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eye, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Watch. And she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now, who was given the commandment? Adam was given the commandment, don't touch this tree. But the woman was the one who first ate of the tree and was tricked into doing this. But did Adam have to eat?
No.
No, he didn't. No. But he did anyway, which got him in trouble with the Most High. Watch. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And watch what they did. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. They made aprons. They covered themselves up with leaves. Watch. And they heard the voice of the Most High walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Most High Elohim among the trees in the garden. And the Most High Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? Now, you know Yah knew where they was.
Yes, he did.
He knew what they did. But, you have to confront when you do something, when you disobey him, you have to deal with him, because especially when he specifically gives you a commandment and says, do not do, and you do it anyway. Watch. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was naked because I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. Watch what he says. And he said, Who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And unto Adam also and to his wife did the Most High make coats of skin and clothe them. This is where everyone believes that Yah killed an animal.
Why
but it doesn't say that. I know it don't say that. I know it don't. But it says because of the coats of skin and he used to clothe them, this is where everybody believes the first death came from. And it doesn't say that, but this is what everybody believes. That in the garden, the Most High killed an animal to be able to cover them because they were covered with fig leaves. They sewed fig leaves together and covered themselves. And that is the requirement of why, I'm going to get to that. Hold on, let me go to that. Hold on just a minute. And the Most High, the Most High Elohim said, Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore, the Most High Elohim sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turns every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Any questions?
Yes.
What's your question?
Well, I don't know how you all think about this, but when Eve ate of the forbidden fruit, she was fooled into doing it. Am I correct?
Yes, she was tricked.
Okay, now, but Adam was not tricked. He knew what he was doing, correct?
He knew what he was doing, yes.
Okay, then my question is, why does Eve have to pay for what Adam did?
Because they both did it together.
What's the fruit?
Yeah, they both did it together. Adam knew better. And see, a lot of people think that Adam came later when the serpent was beguiling Eve. I don't believe that. I don't believe he came later. I believe he was there somewhere in the vicinity, because when the Most High gave him that commandment, he could have stopped her from doing that. But it was his responsibility, being the person that the commandment was given to make sure that she knew not to do that.
Right, and he didn't do that.
And he didn't.
And he was the one that was the leader, am I correct?
Yes, he was first.
Okay. Then I guess my question is valid. I've always thought about that. She didn't knowingly break the rules. He did.
Right.
She knew about the commandment.
Yeah, she knew about the commandment. It wasn't like she didn't know. She knew.
She repeated it to the serpent.
That's right.
She sure did. She was the one who repeated it to the serpent. That's a good point, sis. Absolutely. She knew.
Where'd she get it from? She got it from Adam.
She had to get it from Adam because the Most High told him. She knew better. She knew better. And they both was punished as a result of it because they both knew better.
But oh, about that. I thought she.
The scripture says, "Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh."
Yeah.
So we're all one.
Yeah, but he said.
We were all punished.
Go ahead. What'd you say, sir?
Well, I was just saying, but he said that she was beguiled.
Well, I mean, but she knew better. She was tricked. I mean, the enemy, guess what? Let me say this. We know the things that we do are wrong. No, everybody on this phone has done something wrong, knowing that it was wrong. And we still do it anyway. I mean, thank God for grace, but we still do it anyway.
Okay, that brings up another question, but I won't ask it now.
Well, you can. This is, like I said, this is going to be one of those things where it's going to come up. It's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of things I didn't cover because I'm trying to cover the dietary law, but I love Genesis. One day I would love to just go in there and hash that thing out because, that's the beginning of all. What's your next question?
Well, my next question is this. If they couldn't follow one rule and they were, quote, perfect at that time, how in the world are we going to follow all these other rules that we have to follow in the kingdom? You understand what I'm saying?
Now or when we get where we're going?
What I'm saying is if we couldn't follow one rule when we were perfect, how are we going to follow thousands of rules when we're not perfect?
Somebody want to answer that? I mean, because I can go on.
Let me try to answer that.
Hey,
if you paid attention, let me try to answer that. If you pay attention to what's happening here and what's been happening to us all along, there's always been somebody in the midst of us that's beguiling. There's always been Gentiles. There's always been other people who have been beguiling us, if you want to use those words. And so a lot of times when we sin, time and time again, you see where it says we followed after the Gentiles, we followed after the other nations, we followed after this and that. Where we're going to in the future, there's not going to be none of that. We're not going to have any distractions because it's going to be the nation. He's going to deal with us. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where we're going. The distractions are going to be taken out of the way. He's going to purge out the rebels. He's going to do things to isolate us to himself, and then we'll be able to walk the way we should walk. But, that's just my observation.
And the word, let me inject this. The word also say we're going to pass through a rod or under a rod or something so that his law will be in us, period.
Right.
Yeah. He's going to write them on our minds and in our hearts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I want to add to that. I want to add to that also, because like the brother was saying, he's going to turn everything back on us. And now, we're supposed to be keeping his laws, statutes, and his commandments. But the word tells us, and the Most High tells us, if we be willing and obedient, then we should eat the good of the land. So it comes back on us. This is for us to be able to maintain and sustain and do the things that he is calling us to do and the things that we're supposed to walk in. It has to be something of our hearts that we're going to want to have to do it. So
but I think what he's saying is if they were perfect.
Right.
And they didn't have any issue. They had one thing that they had to do. And they couldn't do that one thing. How can we, being not perfect, be expected to follow the law, statutes, and the commandments?
One thing that we have to
we have to be willing to do it. We're going to have to want to do it, to be obedient to the laws. We're going to have to want to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments.
All right, Brother Donia.
Shalom. Yeah, this is Donia. See, one thing we've been influenced by a whole lot of nations doing their thing. It says that we do the ways of the other nations. But once we get into that wilderness, you're going to have a decision to make. You're going to either do the law or you're going to perish. There's only two ways that you can go. You understand? Either you're going to do these laws or you're going to perish.
But my thing is with him, I'm going to play on his side today. They were warned the same thing. If you eat of this, you shall surely die. So that didn't matter to them. So why would it matter to us now?
I have three reasons it matter.
Yes, ma'am.
One reason is because they didn't have an example of what would happen if they transgressed the law. We do. We're learning a very bitter lesson right now. Also, it's going to be put in our heart, as has been mentioned before, and we will have the Ruach.
That is correct.
Can I shine a light on that?
Yes, sir. And then after that, Sister Levia after Brother Leonard.
Okay, my thing is this: it's two trees. There's two trees there: the tree of knowledge of life of good and evil, and the tree of life. What tree is the fruit on? And what fruit? What is the fruit?
That's a whole nother. I'm not going down that alley.
Let me ask a question here. Where does it say that there's a tree of life? I mean, there's two different trees. It didn't say that in what you read just then.
I didn't read about the trees. I didn't go into the trees, but there are two different trees.
Yeah, the two trees. The tree of knowledge, good and evil, and the tree of life.
It didn't say nothing about no serpent.
Right, I didn't read that part. I didn't bring that into it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to deal with the dietary law today, so I didn't go there with that. And so he just asked a question that if those two people, being in a perfect status, couldn't follow the rules, then why would we be expected to? I'm going to go to Sister Levia. Levia, what were you want to say?
I would like to say that the whole reason why we are going through what we're going through is to get back to the perfect form, the perfect family, the perfect Adam. That's the whole reason why we're going through what we're going through. This will repeating itself back to the original form.
Right. And I would have to agree with both of the sisters because we have a memory now of what happens when you don't obey. They didn't have anything to reach back and say, oh, no, we don't want to ever go through that no more ever again. So because the Bible says the fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom. So knowing that we have been stripped of our identity, we have been placed in a land that's not ours, we have, Brother Donnie, I say, beaten, maimed, murdered, and killed. We have been treated like animals. We have done all these things because he did this to us, not because of the people he allowed to do this to us, but because he did this to us, that we never want to repeat that again. Now, it doesn't mean that when we get to the wilderness, some people still ain't going to cut up because they are, because if that was the case, it would be no need to plead with the rebels. That's why it's going to be a shifting, and only a third is going to make it out of there.
That is correct.
We do. We have something to look back at and say, oh, no, I don't want to go back. I done had all the Louis Vuittons and all of I don't want none of that stuff. I'm not, no. Because it's not what is, one thing about the enemy, and I can honestly say this from a pure heart, the one thing that I've learned about him is that it is never what it's cracked up to be. I don't care how much the lights is flashing and the stuff is bling-bling. It is never what it is cracked up to be. It's not. Because guess what? Them knowing the knowledge of good and evil, it didn't do nothing but cause turmoil for them.
That's right.
It didn't do anything. It was nothing positive.
But if you go back to what I said, you just said it, right? It's the distraction. He was a distraction. Mm-hmm. And all throughout the Old Testament, we see that time and time again, there's always been an adversary, someone to distract us.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? It's also it's more going on than what you read. That's the reason I was trying to answer Brother Cohn's question. It's more going on than what you read than what you perceive happening. Is more happening. The reason why they see it.
That's true.
The tree of knowledge, the good and evil. That's a serpent. When he said that, when he came to us, he said, God doeth know. He's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The serpent is the only one know good and evil. It's not a tree as you perceive a tree. It's him. He's in the midst of the garden.
Oh.
So when you understand that, then it opens up. It's more complex than what you read.
That's true. That is very true.
That's
very, very true.
Wait a second.
Hold on. Let's say this. Let's please don't go down that bunny trail because I know where he's going with that. And I want to try to stay on the dietary law. But I have to agree with him. It is a whole lot more in it than what we're reading. There was a whole lot more done than what the scripture says. That's why, when people start filling in the blanks, it's difficult. I mean, it really is. But,
it just seems to me that we always try to do that, fill in the blanks. You understand? And we don't take the scripture for what it says.
Right. I agree. Okay, so we're going to move on, but I hope that we helped your question. Now we're going to precept that when it comes to what happened. So we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 17. And this is what the Most High said, because a lot of people say, well, it don't say, the scriptures don't say he killed the animal, and then that's where he got the coat of skin from. But if you go to Leviticus chapter 17, it says, we have Leviticus 17, 10 through 14. It says, and whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourn among you, that eateth any manner of blood. Now we getting with the blood. I will set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and will cut him off from among his people. Watch what it says, verse 11. It says, for the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. So that's why, Sister Afian, they believe that an animal was killed and they had actual coats of skin because an atonement had to be made so that the Most High didn't kill them. Now, let me
All right, I agree. I can agree with that.
Who did the atonement?
Well, hold on. It says, for it is in the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul.
Right. So who did this?
They said Yah was the one who killed the animal in the garden to cover them with the skin.
To keep from killing Adam and Eve.
Yah can't come near the flesh.
I'm sorry, say again? Yahweh
can't come near the flesh. So who did this?
Well, we ain't going there, Brother Leonard. Hold on.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying that it's so much, everything being covered over.
I know, but remember what we talked about with babies. We have to spoon feed them a little bit at a time. Now, we will go back and get into the deeper part of it at another time. But, yes, I'm with you 100%. I don't disagree with you at all whatsoever. I don't.
Well, the Almighty killed the animals so that he wouldn't have to kill Adam and Eve, because that was the atonement.
The Almighty can't come near the flesh. That's not the Almighty. He can't come near the flesh. Flesh can't come near the Most High. So who is that that's doing this?
Okay.
I don't know. I hate to, like I say, I hate to read into what was done.
You're not reading into it. You're not reading into it.
See, the thing is where's it written that happened or that didn't happen?
Let me give you an example. I'm gonna be quiet. He said at Mount Sinai, the Most High that you're talking about came down on Mount Sinai. And he came in front of Miriam and Aaron and said, only Moses have I talked to face to face. Everybody else I dealt with, somebody else dealt with him. So who is this that came in the cool of the garden? It's the Most High, and he can't lie. He said that only Moses have I talked to face to face. So who is this that's talking to Aaron in the cool of the day? Who is this that walked with Aaron, that walked with Moses, that Noah? Who is it that talked to Abraham? If only Moses on Mount Sinai, the Most High himself talked to, who is this other person talking to these other people? That has to be Mount Paul.
Who was it?
Angels. I'm going to get muted.
Huh?
I'm going to get muted.
He sure will. So he knows. So we're not going there. Okay, here we go. Verse 12. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourn among you eat blood. So the Most High said, no children of Israel or the stranger that's among you shall eat blood in any way. It says, and whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel or of the stranger that sojourn among you, which hunteth and catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall even pour out the blood thereof and cover it with dust. So in order for there to be an atonement, there had to be bloodshed in the garden. All right, here we go. It says, for the life it is the life of all flesh, the blood of it for the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, that's what he said, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. Any questions? Because I know a lot of people that eat blood. A lot of people.
Yeah, and that's why I was going to say, see, that points right back to what I said. It's the distraction. Who's the one eating blood now and it got us eating blood?
Yeah.
Okay. The same people that's been distracting us the whole time to sin.
Yeah, that's true. I know a lot of people like that steaks rare with blood coming out. I know a lot of people that eat that.
The only time that the blood was good is when Aaron sprinkled the blood of the covenant on us.
Right, and that was by the order of the Most High.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question, comment?
Yeah, I have a question. Well, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
Brother Wesley. He was talking about, well, what he said was reference KJV, and then he was talking about Genesis chapter 2, verses 2 and verse 7. What is the difference between God and Lord God, tense use?
And we'll tell Brother Wesley we will go over that because that's a lot of what Brother Leonard is saying, that there is a separation of those two beings, and that one person thinks that they've seen Yah, the other person thinks that they've seen this person, and it's one of those issues where it's a matter of perception. It's a matter of perception. I have my own idea of what it is, and Brother Leonard has his. It kind of centers around the same thing, and when we get deep, once we get through the basics of this, then we can go back to the story, and then we can give each person's perception, because I want you to do that, Brother Leonard. I'm not cutting you off, but I want you to do that. We just got to get through the basics of this stuff first, because a lot of people can't handle. They can't. Like I said, when I start talking about why, I get cussed out. They send me an email, you an abomination to this. Oh, my gosh, I'm all kind of. So I just don't mess with that yet because they just not ready to handle that. But once we get finished with the basics, we will go, because like I told you, we'll never know it all, but there's always something in there that the Most High reveals that we can always go backward. We can go forward, we can go backward, we can go forward. We're going to do that through the whole trip until we leave here. So we will get to that, Brother Leonard. We're going to get there. All right. It says the sacrifice in the garden. Yah's sacrifice in the garden at the very least then reveals that he slew the animal. He made the coat of skin. Now, the Bible says he made the coat of skin. Why? He acted as the priest to shed innocent blood for the guilty. All right. Genesis chapter 7. Now, this is where we get into the covenant with Noah, because I was wondering how the Most High was going to allow me to bring this covenant in, because this is very important. We've gone through the covenant of Abraham. We've talked about the covenant that he made with Isaac. We talked about Jacob. We've talked about all of the different covenants, and how he set the covenant up with the children of Israel. And now we have to deal with the Noahic covenant, because that's a whole nother monster right there that we have to know. And this is very important. And you find this in Genesis chapter 7. So we're going to start in Genesis chapter 7, which definitely deals with the flood. Watch. Genesis 7, we're going to do 1 through 10, and then we're going to do 18 through 24. It says, And the Most High said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Verse 2, Of every clean beast thou shalt take of thee by sevens, the male and his female. That's why I tell Israel, we got to get this thing together, because everything is done with male and female. This is something that happens, that the Most High gives as a commandment all down through the Bible. It's male and female. Watch. And of the beasts that are not clean, by two, the male and his female. Watch what happens. Of the fowl also of the air, by seven, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So the Most High said, I want you to take them all into the ark. The Most High shut the door, and the ark didn't move for 7 days. So they was trapped up in there with all them animals for 7 days before anything happened. Watch. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And verse 5, And Noah did according unto all that the Most High commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood. So out of all of that, 8 people were spared. Watch. Of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, of fowls, of everything that creepeth upon the earth. Then went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as Yah had commanded Noah. That's verse 9. Verse 10. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. Verse 18. We're in 18 now. And now after this, everything is happening. The people have been killed off the face of the earth. Water is the Most High is just getting ready to change. It says, And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the water prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all the flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle, and of beasts, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life of all that was in the dry land died. Watch. And every living substance that was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and creeping things, and the fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. It says, And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Any questions? No? Yes, ma'am.
Shalom, this is Katrina.
Yes, ma'am.
Got a question. So you mean that roaches and ants and everything went on the ark?
That's what it says. Every creeping thing.
That explains why some people got roaches in their house?
Probably. Because they say it's the hardest one to kill. They've been around a long time. Everything went up on the ark.
Especially the flying ones.
The flying ones. I didn't know they...
The flying ones is the worst. Oh, my gosh. The first time I experienced that, yeah. I had never experienced it before. I moved to North Carolina, and I went in the room, and the thing flew up. Man, I did the Matrix trying to get up out that room. I'm like trying to figure out what is this? It was a flying cockroach. It was big, too.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lord. Okay. Here we go. All right, Genesis chapter 8, he said, y'all remember. It says Genesis chapter 8, we're going to do 1 through 5, and then we're going to do 15 through 22. Now, you can read the whole chapters if you want to. I just didn't want to bring the whole chapters in here, but these are the main important ones. 1 through 5, it's verse 1. Genesis chapter 8, verse 1, it says, and y'all remember Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark, and y'all made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters surged. I guess that's the word. Verse 2, the fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountain of Ararat. That's supposed to be in Turkey. I remember a long time ago when I was young, they claimed they found the ark, and we all went running to the movies. Okay, here we go, verse 5. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. And okay, we have verse 15. And Yah spoke unto Noah, saying, go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons wives with thee. Watch what he says. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. He's getting ready to give the animal a commandment. This is a part of the Noahic covenant. He said that they may breed abundantly in the earth and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Watch. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives with him. It says, every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth on the earth after their kind went forth out of the ark. And Noah built an altar unto the Most High, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. So here is your blood sacrifice. Remember, wherever there's a covenant, there has to be a blood sacrifice. This is what Noah did. That was a lot of killing of a lot of animals. A lot. Watch. Watch what happens. And the Most High smelled a sweet savor. This is the oath. And the Most High said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. Watch what he does. He's getting ready to set the elements in place. This is a part of, this comes under the Noahic. He says 22. He said, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest shall be there. Cold and heat shall be there. Summer and winter shall be there, and day and night shall not cease. All of this was established with Noah. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Back in chapter 7, if everything about what was on the ark was killed in the flood, could you explain how the giants got back?
Well, you know, there's a lot of different questions about that. Some people say, this is what the white people say now, that they ran underground and they stayed underground until the flood abated. That's what they're saying now. That they went inside the earth and hid out until the flood abated, because they don't want to admit to the fact that it could have been in the seed of the women, of the wives of the sons. Some people believe it was in their DNA of the wives that it came through. So nobody knows for sure. But they came back after the flood. A lot of people have different questions now. Now that they found out it's underground cities under the ground and underground cabins and all these tunnels and stuff inside of the earth, that they're saying that this is where these people went inside of the earth to cover themselves and to protect themselves until the flood abated. That's what they're saying.
You know, this is what one reason why I say that we always undermine the Almighty. You understand? When people say those type of things, we have to have some kind of proof, facts, or evidence. You understand? So when they make these statements, where is it at in the Scripture?
Right. Absolutely. So I mean, those nobody knows, Sister Sanaya, at the end of the day. All right, here we go. Watch what he says. And Yah blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Now we're in Genesis chapter 9. This is the meat and the potatoes of Noah's covenant. Is in Genesis chapter 9. So back in 8, he gave a commandment to the animals and told them to be fruitful and multiply and breed so that you can put this stuff back, put your lineage back up on the earth. He established the seed time and the harvest, the summer and the winter, the cold and the hot, the day and the night in 8. In 9, we're going to get into some other stuff which deals with the dietary law. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. And he told, and Yah blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Verse 2. Now right here is where he's getting ready to restore dominion of man. He said, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every fowl of the air and upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea, into your hand are they delivered. So he gave man back dominion over these animals. Watch what he does. Watch. Right now, here's the new diet. Verse 3, he said, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. So he brings meat back into the diet. And this is for everybody. This is where he brings meat back into the diet. He said, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. Watch what he said. He said, but flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, ye shall not eat. So guess what? Not only was this given to the Israelites, but this was for all mankind, that they were not to eat blood. Any questions?
Well, with the meat, were they able to eat the pork?
They could eat anything. Mm-hmm. There was no restrictions at this point. They could eat anything.
But this verse means cannibalism, not to eat.
No, he says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. He never intended for us to eat man.
No sacrifice.
Right. Watch. He said, but the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, ye shall not eat. Watch what he says. Now, this is where capital punishment was established. He said, and surely your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. So you're not allowed to murder nobody, because if you murder somebody, your life will be required.
I want to add, well, not add, but jump in on this, because if you look at verse 4, that's a requirement. If you look at verse 5, that's a requirement. But why aren't we doing that today? Because we've been influenced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That is correct.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't want to keep saying that, but this is just pointing and just showing that unless we separate ourselves from the heathen, the distractors, the people that had us sinning throughout the whole Old Testament, we'll never be able to do what he told us to do.
You know, and you said he made a valid point, because what happened in Egypt, now it doesn't mention that we need to, that they were heathenistic and immoral, but that was one of the requirements by the Almighty, that we should separate ourselves and not join on to the other nations and do what they do.
Yeah. I mean, all of you all have a very valid point. This is very valid and very, informative, but like I said, this blood thing was not just for Israel. It was for the whole, everybody on the earth. And it was given to Israel as a no-no. Definitely, absolutely not. As a no-no. And then here, capital punishment was established. If you kill, you will be killed. Now, thank God for grace. Because guess what? A lot of us have been in the military. We done murdered folks in the military. We didn't have any beef with them people that we was fighting against. People came home from the military and couldn't even drink out the same water fountain. But you had to go. It was a requirement that you went. And you had to either kill or be killed if you was on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's part of Deuteronomy 28.
Exactly. So the grace has come in. That's why I said a lot of the things that we read now under capital punishment, because we're in this captivity, we have grace to be able to say, we understand the conditions that you were under. Now, it don't excuse anybody from killing willingly and doing that anyway. But again, you still can repent.
Well, as you know, I spent a time in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. I've never had to kill anyone. All the deaths that I saw were accidents, training. And soon as I retired, it looks like we went to war.
That was a good thing.
I'm not saying that God was waiting until I retired to go to war. I'm not saying. I'm just saying when I retired, we went to war.
Yeah, and you got
be thankful. Yeah. Give praise and honor and great glory to the Almighty that you didn't have to kill nobody.
I am, brother. I am. I'm very happy I didn't have to. Boy, when I learned this truth and I look back and see a lot of things that I didn't have to do, I'm very thankful.
But then what about the kids out there that had to do it? You know what I'm saying? The Most High don't have mercy on them too, because he knew the situation that they were in and they had to do it. I remember I was reading in the paper when we had the police issue, the police thing that was going around where they was killing people, that one guy refused. He said, I'm not killing an innocent man, and they fired him.
Yeah, that's a sad case. But see, one thing that I'm finding out, it's all about the heart. Mm-hmm. You understand? If we wind up getting into these circumstances and situations through no fault of our own, you understand? And some of us come back to America and they still got killing on their mind. They got that in their heart. Some of us don't have that in their heart. You understand? So it's all about the heart, man. The Almighty will spare your life because of your heart.
Well, that's what the wilderness is about, because once we get there, he's going to weed out those people that don't want to change their heart.
Well, I don't know about them, but boy, that's the first thing I won't change.
Yeah?
The heart.
You got to. And guess what changes the heart? The law. And like she said, the knowing of the punishment that we've had to accept, had to be accustomed to because we were disobedient. It's just amazing how, we look at this now and see it from a whole nother perspective. Like I said, I'm going to show you the church in a minute. And when we saw it from the church, it was a lovely scene. Everybody was joyously singing together. We was worshiping together. We was praising together with an anticipation of being delivered together. It was a whole togetherness. But when the Most High show you how this thing really is, it's like, whoa. You know, so it's a lot to have to take in, to have to endure. It is a whole lot. But this is a part of the covenant that he established with Noah. This was for the whole earth. It wasn't catered to any specific people. It was for the whole earth.
Right.
Watch. And he said, and at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Then he says, whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Yah made he man. And thank God we don't, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot covering under this right here. You're talking about capital punishment. You're talking about gangs and murders. You're talking about people who commit murder. So all that kind of stuff that, thank God, we have grace. And that the judgment part of the law is not in effect. But when we get back to where we're going and those laws are reinstituted again, there's not going to be any mercy. Watch. He said, and you be fruitful and multiply, and bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. So he's telling them, you all be fruitful and multiply. Watch. And Yah spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. He said, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, of the beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. Any questions? Now, y'all really quiet today, boy. Ain't nobody saying a word. All right, watch what happens now. He says, watch. He says, and I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. Watch what he says as a token. And the Most High said, this is the token of the covenant. Remember I told you it has to be a token, something you can look at and say, okay, this is the covenant we made with Yah, which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for a perpetual generation, that I do set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And there it is. Isn't that beautiful? What?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
That's the rainbow. And see, when I went to Washington, D.C., you know, and all the people was listening, I told them, you know, you all have taken, I was talking to the LGBT community, I said, you need to get a new symbol because you took a token of a covenant.
Right, absolutely.
It don't matter. They're going to die anyway. I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but they in trouble anyway.
You know, get a new,
it don't matter what they
symbol.
use.
Well, again, that's part of the deception.
Right. You know? Some powerful things, you know, we look at every day and don't understand what they mean. Watch. He said, a cloud over the earth, and it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. For you all who can't see, I'm just showing them pictures of the rainbow. That's all I'm showing. You can look at, I Googled them and got an image from Google. Beautiful. Yeah. This is the Most High doing.
Yeah. Amen.
This is his token. That when we see that, we know that he's still up there and he's still keeping his word. And I've seen some that have been absolutely stunning. I mean, just beautiful.
I've seen doubles.
Have you really?
Yeah.
You know, now they're saying oh, well, the rainbow is what's holding the giants back. That's what the Gentile pastors and stuff are saying now, that it's a frequency sound from the rainbow that's holding the Most High don't need no frequency sound from no rainbow.
Where's that written at in the scripture?
They just come up with stuff, brother, don't they? They come up with stuff that sound good. He don't need no rainbow, no frequency sound from no rainbow. He just speak a word and they gonna do what he say.
It's like the nuclear Patra.
Yeah, exactly. He just speak a word and they do what he say. But guess what? If you want to be real deep, that's deep. You know, when you don't know no better. Looks like ain't nothing deep about that. The Most High will speak a word, and he spoke this thing into existence, and he definitely is not, he don't need no sound frequencies from the colors of the rainbow to hold nothing back. They're not coming because he told them not to come.
Isn't it funny how everything, you know, in Christianity, from my observation, is so spiritual when we look at the God that we serve and how he did things. Everything was physical. Wasn't a whole lot of spirituality going on with our forefathers. It was either you see it or you didn't see it. Either it manifested, it didn't manifest. It was all physical. But now we got all this spiritual stuff going on.
But guess what? If you made up the God and the spirit that's in there is leading you, you got to keep adding to it, or people will start questioning. You know, well, what's really going on? And you know what brought me to mind was when we was reading about Micaiah Thursday night and how the spirit came out from around the throne of the Most High, and he said, who's going to mislead Ahab so that he'll die at Ramoth Gilead? And the spirit came and said, I will. And the Most High said, how will you go do it? He said, I'm going to be a lion spirit in the mouth for all the prophets. I'm telling you, as I know who I am, there is a spirit in that whole entity that has those people acting the way they do.
Sure does.
Yep. It's in there. It's in there. It's no other way you can get it. It is. It's in there. Because guess what? They get to shimming and shaking and jerking and bucking. They're not making that up. That's real. They're doing that because they feel something. But the Most High said you was going to be made to serve other gods of wood and of stone. They just can't get past that point. But that's real. They ain't running and screaming and hollering just because they want to look cute. They feel something in there. I felt it when I was in there.
Yes, they just got to redefine it correctly and stop saying that it's the Ruach HaKodesh spirit. Exactly. That's a demonic spirit.
No. So when you start looking at the whole, like you said, brother Kevin, we have been deceived into believing that the things that we have been deceived in all of this, in the stories that they gave us, what they showed us how to do certain things. You know, it was all. I remember seeing a cooking show. This man made a hamburger, and I'm telling you, all he did was put it on the grill until it turned brown on one side, and he flipped it over and turned brown on the other side. When he bit into it, it was raw.
Right. They teach you that in culinary school when the top chefs and stuff cook. They tell you if a hamburger is cooked to where it ain't no blood in it, you overcooked it. Right.
Now look at how all of that goes against the Most High.
Yeah.
But now they're telling people that it's not really blood, it's like some type of enzyme.
Please.
I saw that kind of something.
What? And that's what people believe them, and they'll do it, and they're going to eat it anyway but guess what? These are the same people that's getting caught up to heaven.
Right.
But we're so gullible, Sister Yaina, that we go for the yoke every time.
You know? Like you have to look at the land of this captivity and say to yourself, do these people really know him? Do they know him? No. No, because everything that is being done is in contrary to what he says not do.
Exactly. They never knew him.
But we, not knowing any better, came into this knowledge. We woke up one day and said, well, wait a minute now. Hold on. Wait a minute. This is not adding up. Something's wrong.
Yep, that's what I said.
So it is. It's a lot to come to grips with and to be able to understand. But the more you study, the more you understand. So that means that all of those people, all of those cops who deliberately killed black men just because they was black, they're going to have to pay.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? And the black man that deliberately kills the black man is going to have to pay.
Absolutely. That's right. Or allow his job to lie on a Hebrew. They got to pay for that too. And they tell, it's my job. No, it's not.
Where do you draw the line?
Right.
Where's the line drawn? Because he said murder, period. Now, hopefully, they can repent.
Yeah, one of the things I learned about that is what people don't understand about it is that's automatically set in place, just like summer, winter, spring, and fall. When you do something wicked, it's gonna come back on you. And so many people want to know why they have so much drama in their life. It's recompense.
That's right.
Right.
I agree.
That's right, because you're going to reap what you sow. And if it don't hit you, it's a possibility it's going to hit your children.
Right.
You got to watch what you say, what you think, and what you do.
But thank God we have grace that you can hopefully we can repent. Because as far as our law is, it's a whole, I used to tell the Most High about homosexuality. I was like, oh my God, that's a sin, and that's punishable by death. That is terrible. He said to me, a whole lot of stuff is punishable by death.
Right, like marrying a Gentile.
A whole lot of other stuff too. So in other words, don't put yourself above nobody else because you got to clean out your own house.
All right.
You got to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And thank God that we get an opportunity to repent.
Right.
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you. So we be through. That's all of us. All of us. Israelites, Gentiles, all of us. We have got, and you know what the bad part about it is these people don't want to repent. That's going to be the downfall right there.
Yeah. They don't never want to apologize when they're wrong.
No.
They don't want to repent.
Say that again.
What do you mean they don't want to repent?
They don't want to repent. They don't want to admit they're wrong. They want to accept the fact that they're doing something that's wrong.
Right.
You ever heard what Trump said? Trump said that he ain't never seen nothing that he had to apologize for.
Yeah. Raping female snatches is nothing to be repenting for. Excuse me.
When we do something wrong, it is horrendous. It's terrible. It's just the way we are. But when they do something wrong, he has mental issues, and we need to get him some help.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You got to see the whole story. We can't jump to conclusions.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly what they're saying. He has issues. He needs some help.
Yeah, one thing that I'm finding out also is that, we have a spiritual connection with the Almighty. So when we do something wrong, it breaks us up in two. You understand? And we can't wait. Those that have that spiritual connection, you understand, can't wait to get the opportunity to ask God to forgive us for our sins. You understand? Most of us.
Hey, Brother Done, you know how right you are? Remember me telling you the other day that I went up to this guy that was posing as a Marine, but he was a fake and everything, and I went up and told him, and I told you I went up and told him where the rubber meets the road. Well, I didn't get away with. I don't think I got away with that.
I hear you.
Hey, look here. The Most High was talking about my mouth. He says, now how can a mouth like that bless me on one end and go use that kind of language on the other end.
Right.
That comes from the same mouth, and I'm like, man, that was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because bitter and sweet can't come out of the same fountain. But at the same time, that's what their problem is. That's what I mean when I say they don't want to repent, because they don't want to admit that we mean anything, that we are the scum and the worst of the worst, and that they can justify however they treat us any kind of way they treat us. Right. Now, and that does not excuse our own people killing each other either, because they're going to meet up with the Most High too.
That is correct.
Right. So that when I say they don't want to repent, that's all of us. Don't nobody want to repent. They just don't want to repent. Everybody wants to believe that this is going to be like it is forever, and that it's going to be the way it's going to be. And that they can just keep doing and doing and doing and doing, and it's going to be fine. But it's not going to happen that way. He's getting ready to change this thing around. So, you know, as we read through this, let me get through this real quick, and then we can open up the floor. Verse 15. This is Genesis chapter 9, verse 15. He said, and I will remember my covenant between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. He said, and the bow shall be in the clouds, and I will look upon it that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Yah and every living thing, every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. You know, so he put it up there for him to remember. What I said to Noah, I told Noah this, that I was never going to do it this way again.
Right.
So it's a covenant between all of us, even when the animals is running through the grass, they can look up and see that bow. And that is a remembrance that Yah would never destroy them again. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I brought this in, because in Genesis chapter 9, he brings meat back on the table. You know, so he gives man the authority to be able to eat meat. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to. Mm-hmm. This is all a part of the dietary law. This is why we're doing this, and I want to set the precedence, because now I'm going to go into how he chose the children of Israel and the reason for the dietary law for the children of Israel. We'll do that next week, and what you can and what you cannot eat, and how you can tell what you can and you cannot eat, so that we understand that because we were his people and a set-apart people, he gave us laws, and he told us, you can't do it, but the stranger can.
Right. Well, absolutely right.
Because I want you to be separate and apart from everyone else. Certain things you just don't eat, and certain things you just don't do. You know? And then when you look at this, he says, and Yah said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. There it is. This is I put the token there. Now watch. Isn't that beautiful? Amen. That is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Now watch. Now Noah had 3 sons. We're going to get into this too. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I'm not going to cover that right now, but I want to show you this one. Watch this. Look at that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is the flag for the LGBT community.
Yeah.
With the Star of David in the middle, the so-called Star of David, because that's not the Star of David, but that's Israel's symbol in the middle. Now, how Lord have mercy, I can't even. This is the person who created who set the flag in motion. He created the rainbow flag for the community. And they blow it. It says the rainbow flag, commonly known as the gay pride flag or LGBT pride flag, is a symbol of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT pride and LGBT social movement. Look.
You know they got a manifesto, right? That was written back in the 60s.
That's just terrible.
Yeah.
Have you all ever heard of their manifesto?
No.
The gay, man, they made a pact back in the day that they would be in the schools, that they would be in the government, and that each one would bring another one with them.
Yeah. And guess what? They have a right to do whatever they're going to do, because the judgment of the Most High is going to be across the board for us all. But like I told them, you know, when I went to Washington, you really should consider getting a whole new symbol, because this is the token of a covenant. But again, you have, like Brother Kevin said, you have to consider where we are.
Right.
That's what they've been doing the whole time, even when we was in Israel. Not saying that specific, but they don't care nothing about Yah. We the one that's been following that foolishness.
Yeah.
How is that any different than the church, though? They ain't supposed to have graven images, but they use the cross, the fish, the whole nine. So they don't. I mean, it's parallel to me. They doing.
It is parallel, because that's what he. Yeah, you're right. It is parallel. That's what he said. He was going to give us all the way over to them. Yes. So all that is a cumulative of everything that we was doing in the past. He just gave us over to them.
Yeah.
So you telling them to change theirs? The church need to change theirs too.
That's true. But guess what? It's all an expression, like Brother Kevin said, it's all an expression of a people that cannot be serving the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's no way.
That's true.
There's no way. And it doesn't matter what entity it is, there's just no way possible. There's no way. He doesn't compromise. That's not something that he allows and says, oh, well, okay, I changed my mind.
He hasn't did that yet. He hasn't done that yet.
You know? And these are the things that we are being exposed to, and it's so readily available that everybody thinks it's okay. It's just okay to do this. It's okay to have a fish that represents the Holy Spirit. It's okay to wear a cross around your neck. It's okay to have the rainbow flag that represents the LGBT community. It's okay for us to eat food that's got blood in it, because nothing has ever happened to us, so it's okay.
Right, right.
And, you know, Sister Yaina, what you were saying, and you know, you made a good point. And if I can I read something real quick?
Sure.
Because you were saying a while ago that, you know, as we go on in the future and more Israelites begin to wake up, we're going to begin to surprise them, because we're going to affect their economy. We're not going to be eating shrimp and lobster and pork and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I found something in Nehemiah chapter 10, and this is what the Most High did. I'm going to read verse 28 to 32. And it said, the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the porters, the singers, the Nethinims, and all they that had separated themselves from the people of the land unto the law of God, their wives, their sons, their daughters, everyone having knowledge and having understanding. They clave to their brethren, the nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath to walk in God's law, which was given by Moses, the servant of God, and to observe and to do all the commandments of the Lord our God and his judgment and his statutes, and that we would not give our daughters unto the people of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons. And if the people of the land bring ware or victuals on the Sabbath to sell, that we may not buy it from them on the Sabbath or on the holy day, that we would leave the service, that we would leave the 7th year in the exaction of every death. And also we would make ordinances for us to charge ourselves yearly with the third part of the shekel for the service of the house of God. Ain't that something?
Yeah. And that's what we're going to end up going back to doing again, because we have to clean it up. I mean, you know, whether you, and then let me say that it's not just LGBT and blood. We got to stop lying. We got to stop scheming. We got to stop sleeping with each other's wives and husbands and sleeping all around and doing all kind of immoral things. We have to stop.
Right.
Because those things will get you killed too.
Right.
Oh, you know, because I don't want to say you always on. No, it go across the board. Because guess what? It's gonna come to us first before it even get to you. He come to Israel first before it even get to you. He's gonna come deal with us first. We learned these. Well, I can't say that because we did all kind of abominable things. We did all kind of stuff. We saw them back in the day too. You know, we had all kind of stuff in our land, just like we have in there now. We got the same thing the other nations got in the nation of Israel, the people that are conscious. We got pedophiles that are conscious in Israel. Don't think we don't.
Yeah.
We do. We have homosexuals in Israel that's conscious, that know they Israelites. Don't think we don't. We do. We got liars and cheaters and schemers and sleeping with each other's husbands and stuff. We do. We have all that sin that's still here. It ain't went nowhere.
Well, that's what came out. That's what came out with the people when they came out of Egypt.
So it's not a perfect environment for you all that are new that are waking up. I don't want you to have this kumbaya feeling like everybody is just lovely. It ain't that way. We still dealing with the same stuff we was dealing with before. It's still here. That's why when we get to the wilderness, them people will be destroyed. They're not going to make it.